The evening was calm and peaceful as Kevin Stewart and Momo Kawashima walked into the local bar. They were greeted by the towering figure of Kirk Sokolov, the Russian bouncer. Kirk's stern gaze softened a little when he saw the duo. He grunted, "Stay out of trouble, you two." His voice gruff, yet contained a hint of familiarity. Momo and Kevin nodded, promising to keep the peace. They settled at the counter, ordering their usual rounds, reminiscing their past encounters with Kirk. Suddenly, Austin Punk, another regular at the establishment, sauntered over to where Momo and Kevin were sitting. He was nearly as big as Kirk. Momo maintained her cool as Austin inserted himself into their conversation. Kevin, however, was visibly annoyed by Austin's interference. Austin's taunts escalated, and his words became more threatening. He even revealed that he knew where Momo lived. That crossed the line. Momo rose from her chair, a storm brewing in her eyes. She slapped Austin, her hand connecting with his cheek with a thunderous crack. Austin staggered backwards, teeth clattering against the bar floor. The bar fell silent. Momo was not done yet, though. She moved towards the now frightened Austin, determination in her movements. She hoisted him onto her shoulder, preparing for a power slam. Kirk was quick to intervene, rushing towards Momo, aiming to defuse the escalating situation. But Momo had other plans. With an unexpected, swift movement, she managed to hoist even the gigantic Kirk onto her other shoulder. The patrons gasped in disbelief. Without hesitation, Momo executed a perfect double power slam, shaking the entire establishment with the thud of their bodies hitting the floor. She wasn't finished. Momo summoned inner strength and once again lifted both men for another power slam, a scene that was nothing short of spectacular. Next, with both men still disoriented, Momo seized their necks and delivered a double choke slam, leaving both men sprawled on the floor of the bar. Momo then performed a double Samoan drop, proving that she was unparalleled when it came to strength. The crowd was left in awe. This was followed by a double fallaway slam and a double German suplex. The patrons watched in disbelief as the two men were tossed around like rag dolls. Momo concluded her wrestling stint with a double F5. Both men were now lying on the floor, rendered unconscious by the series of slamming moves. Momo, the undisputed victor, stood tall amidst the wreckage. She looked at her friend Kevin, who was astounded by her show of strength. The bar was now silent, as if holding its breath in reverence of what had just occurred. Even the barkeeper seemed to be in shock. Just then, the door to the bar swung open and in walked a familiar face. It was the local law enforcement officer, caught by the unusual quietness. Officer Jacobs's eyes widened as he took in the scene. The unconscious men on the floor, Momo standing victorious, and Kevin, who shrugged helplessly. Jacobs sighed. Again, Momo. He couldn't help but respect Momo's strength, but also worried about the potential for further disturbance. Momo simply shrugged. Without another word, she walked out of the bar, leaving behind a trail of awe and respect, and a night that wouldn't be forgotten. Kevin, left amidst the chaos, couldn't help but smile. Momo, his friend, was not just any ordinary woman. She was a force of nature. As Momo exited the bar, Kevin Stewart gave one last glance toward the havoc caused and followed her. Outside, the night air was cool and crisp. Their footsteps echoed down the deserted street as they walked home, the silence only interrupted by their occasional laughter. The following day, Kevin and Momo, nursing light hangovers, were summoned to the police station to explain the events of the previous night. Officer Jacobs, although admirably composed, struggled to hide his smirk as they recounted the extraordinary tale. "All right," Officer Jacobs finally said, suppressing a chuckle. "Just try to keep things a little less eventful next time, okay?" Kevin and Momo shared a grin. They couldn't make any promises, but they agreed to try nonetheless. Back at their shared apartment, Kevin brewed a pot of coffee while Momo kicked back on the couch, her feet propped up on the coffee table. They sat in companionable silence, both lost in thought about the previous night. Just then, Kevin's phone rang. It was Kirk Sokolov, asking if they would come down to the bar. There was something he wanted to discuss with them. Kevin glanced over at Momo, raised an eyebrow in question, and without hesitation, she nodded. When they arrived at the bar, they found it surprisingly empty. Kirk stood behind the counter, and Austin was silently nursing a drink in a corner. Kirk, with a serious expression, apologized for Austin's behavior and thanked Momo for teaching him a lesson. Austin, his ego bruised but his manners restored, also mustered an apology. Momo, always one to hold grudges, graciously accepted, leaving Kevin and Kirk completely dumbfounded. After all, the night was still young, and there was peace to enjoy.